this is going to sound extremely narcissistic, but whatever. We are special, you and I. Like we get it because 97% of guys do not get it. They do not just get it. And if you don't know what I mean by get it, you don't get it, right? Like the best way to, honestly, this is going to sound like weird, but just bear with me. If you really want to understand what it means, you need to watch the movie Mean Girls when she talks about girl world and regular world. When Lindsay, what's her name? Lindsay Lohan? Yeah, Lindsay Lohan talks about, there's girl world and then there's the real world. Like, for example, real world, Halloween, get dressed, have fun, whatever. Girl world, this is the one day of the year you can dress like a total and everybody's okay with it. And it's fun. Dude, for me, I love seeing these girls walk around with like a spaghetti strap piece of thong on for Halloween. I'm a big fan, so I don't care. Go ahead, shake that, girl. But that's like just one example of the deep levels. Like, because people don't understand this too, Rolo. People don't understand there's levels to the red pill. There's entry level, and like you're kind of like what do you call it? They're in like the evangelistic phase. Yeah. They're like, I want to tell everybody. Unplugged. I want to tell my boss. I want to tell my mom. I want to tell like the girls on Tinder. Yeah. And
exactly.
It's not a good idea. I mean, and then so he's got this guy also, this guy in the upper right hand corner. This guy his name is Alexander Grace. This guy is a certified and verified beta male, and he I actually communicated with Alexander. I said, hey, maybe you want to partner up and do an affiliate for body language mastery. He's like, no way, you're doing these numbers with such a small YouTube channel. You're definitely a scammer, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, so clearly this guy sucks with women and he sucks at business.
A common phenomenon in the world of dating is men getting extremely possessive or displaying overly jealous behavior whenever their partner receives interest from another man. Inevitably, this results in hurt, anger, and confusion when the girl cheats or breaks up with him. In the red pill community, they tell each other...
Notice how every single girl has an uncomfortable look on her face. Well, every single girl.
He's also started... Remember what I told you about the definitions, like sort of the intent of this idea, like being different in the past than it is now? He's using the definition of what he thinks it should be right now. So his definition of this is like overly jealous guys. That's not what it was about. That's what it's become, or that's what it's been sort of like distorted into because it fits their narrative. And it's not about that. It's not about overly jealous guys. It's not overly possessive guys, although it seems like it would be, because like that's how it's being misinterpreted. But that's where they're beginning their idea. Like, okay, so this is what this is about. No, that's not what it's about. And you don't know what it's about because you don't know the original intent of it. Again, this is why when you get grifters like this and they don't have the background, they start from the wrong premise.
Yeah, it's this for me. I mean, Alexander Grace just looks like a guy who clearly does not get it. Just
Alexander Grace is what Vox Day would call a gamma. He's very much a gamma. And he's the guy who tries to figure out why women won't give him the time of day. Yeah. And he'll build a lifestyle out of that. He'll build a career out of trying to figure out why it is that women don't logically, deductively want a guy like him. And so this is why this seems like something that's a worthwhile, effort for him to do. Go out and talk to all these girls on the street and get and find out what do women really want, as if they're going to give him, of all people, an honest answer about this. And then he'll take that data and go, okay, well, this is why women are really screwed up. Like, he's doing pretty much the same thing that the doom pill is doing right now. They're like, okay, this is why I'm screwed.
Have some guys that we ask them, like, do you want to go and have with these girls, or do you want to be right? And like, because I got guys that like get argumentative with girls over Tinder about like hypergamy and stuff. I'm like, dude, they don't care. So look at these girls when he just reads. I'm just gonna, because we've kind of prefaced this. I just want to rewind it a little bit. Look at every single girl's face, especially you guys in body language mastery who can read the situation.
It looks like they want to punch him.
Yeah, and they look very just uncomfortable. Like, what are you doing? But there's a camera there, so they're women, so they're selling their souls to an extent, because got to get that free attention.
whenever their partner receives interest from another man. Inevitably, this results in hurt, anger, and confusion when the girl cheats or breaks up with him. In the red pill community, they tell each other, she's not yours, it's just your turn. What is meant by this is that attraction is uncontrollable. Women are entitled to change their minds, and beautiful girls are bombarded with male attention and an abundance of options every day. Even if you are in a relationship at the moment, you can't guarantee that she won't find other partners in the future. By telling each other that she's not yours, it's just your turn, they hope to remind men that she was never his property and spare them from the mental anguish and pain when she moves on to the next man. Do you think that a man being overly possessive or jealous is a common reason why women cheat or break up with them?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't think that there should ever be an excuse to cheat, though.
It's one of the main reasons or major reasons.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah, if they feel like they're a bit suffocated and don't have much control or voice in the relationship.
Like if someone's going to be really jealous in a relationship, they're clearly not secure in themselves.
If somebody's going to be jealous in a relationship, clearly they're not secure in themselves. Who is the one that is always jealous in like most relationships? It's always the girl. At one point I had Miss MLD tell me, she's like, I feel that you love your dog more than me now. And I was like, it's kind of true.
Well, but the funny thing about that is this is like, remember, how old do you think that girl is? Like maybe
18, 19. It seems like a college.
Yeah, inner teens. So the first thing out of her mouth whenever anybody has this really sort of uneducated idea of what jealousy is, they usually think of it in terms of it's like a character flaw. Like if you're jealous, then that means you're insecure. If you're jealous, that means that you don't believe in yourself, or you don't understand your own value. Or if you're jealous, then there's something wrong with you. Let me tell you something right now. Jealousy is an evolved adaptation for human beings. The jealous people went on to reproduce more than the non-jealous people. Okay. So jealousy is actually, it's an emotion and it's something that we feel, but it's also like men and women we have different reasons for feeling jealousy, but we feel that not because we're insecure, but because in our ancestral past, the guys and the women to an extent who felt jealousy, they pass their genes on to the next generation. So it's not about like, oh, I really wish I didn't have this character flaw. If I could just learn how not to be jealous or be more secure. It's not about that. But that's what this generation and really the last 4 generations have been taught about certain kinds of emotions. And the reason they're taught that is because the reason why she's talking about this, the reason why you think that jealousy is an insecurity is because it serves a female paradigm. It serves the feminine imperative. Because we can say, well, you shouldn't feel that way. You should be, because what that does is it distracts men from what's really going on. Why do men get jealous? Because on an evolutionary level, they don't want to get cut. That's the male, the existential fear of men is to put all of your reproductive efforts into a woman who says the baby is yours, and you put all the money and emotional investment and parental investment and provisioning and security and protection into that child, and you've essentially wasted your life doing that based on a lie. You want to know why guys get jealous and get pissed off and get zeroed out and kill themselves and kill their families and kill those kids, and why we can't have DNA tests right now, why that's not like standard testing for every child, which would be very simple to do. We just don't do it because we don't want to take away the power dynamic from women in that sense. That's why we say jealousy is an insecurity. You're just an insecure male. You're insecure in your masculinity if you feel jealousy. No, you're a human male on planet Earth, and that's why you feel that. It's not bad. It's not good. It just is what it is. So what she's learned at 19 years old in 2020 or whenever he did this interview is that the same thing they've been teaching young men and young women since the revolution, since the early 70s.
Let's look at the language that the community uses with women. She's not yours, it's just your turn. That's assuming that women are like objects to be passed around. That is implicitly showing just the perception of women in general.
Oh, that right there. Okay, so this is his feminine mind coming to the conclusions that it wants to come to, or that it thinks it should come to. He's saying the things that he thinks he should be saying right here.
Yeah.
He should be saying, oh, well, that turns women into objects. Well, guess what? Women are objects for like 100% of guys, because that's how our brains see women, as objects. If you go and you look at the MR, again, remember we were talking about studies rather than what feels like woo-woo magical thinking. Research and studies show, fMRI studies of men's brains, when they see a half-naked woman, they don't see her as like, oh, she's this human being. They don't see that. They see her as a list of objective parts: hips to waist ratio, breast size, legs, face. It's like every little bit is, we objectivize women, because that's why we're still here.
Can I call a 2020 timeout? Okay, so from a guy in the field, 2020, I want to say, Rollo, we don't objectify women anymore. Have you, Rollo, pick up your phone right now and open Instagram. Open Instagram right now. Oh, everybody, right now, open Instagram. You tell me who's objectifying women. Is it a self-objectification? Or American girls, especially. American game right now. This is what American girls' game is. I'm sexy, and here's my game. I'm going to give you sex, or I'm not going to give you sex. No cooking, no cleaning, no massages, no homemaking skills. Don't know how to sew. Don't know any of those good old feminine traits, which for some reason, if a woman has feminine traits in 2020, like people, they just think it's weak or useless, right? That's like the equivalent of a man not being able to pick up 200 pounds, right? It's just like, do your job. There's males and there's females on this planet, and we're here to do two things: and die.
She's not yours, it's just your turn. A lot of guys marry themselves up to the idea that they own their woman. And nothing can be further from the truth. Women are often temporary in men's lives. Like, we're not these mating birds of monogamy forever and ever until kingdom come. And that's how a lot of guys, I think, walk around life. Usually as a function of social conditioning with the female primary social order that we live in. Because we're always programmed as men to make ourselves less so she can become more. And
I don't know where the hell he got that from.
Yeah, it's a place called Life. I mean, how many guys?
Where he got that from?
Yeah, dude. I mean, he literally gives an example later from the MGTOW guy. Make ourselves less so she can become more. Remember that, okay? Remember that. Make ourselves less so she can become more. Because later in this video, verbatim, you're gonna. I just don't understand. Like, did he not watch his own video? Did he not do his own editing? So I'll say this, should men show expressive jealousy? First of all, it's not jealousy. That's the thing. Mainstream media has, mainstream culture in the West has made it like a shame tactic for men to even have standards in a relationship. Like, if you're dating a girl, you should let her go have her girls' night out. Yes, she was giving a guy a lap dance in the VIP. Yes, she turned off her phone from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. and you called her a bunch of times. You went to her apartment. She wasn't there. She wasn't at her girlfriend's house. You couldn't find her. You were worried, but you shouldn't be even considering the fact that she may be cheating because you're just insecure. And she's a strong, independent woman. You just need to support her and do whatever the fuck she wants. And that's just bull. So if so, what's a healthy way to do so? This is what you're asking, Doug, is, can I have boundaries and standards in a relationship? And the answer is yes.
So I will agree that you should never put a woman first. You should always put your purpose first, and the woman should come second.
That's like the one thing that he says that's actually makes sense in this entire 14-minute video.
Well, and he's throwing
needs should be fulfilled.
Oh, go ahead.
He's throwing that out there because there's something in, like, he still can't say like, you shouldn't be your mental point of origin. I think he understands that. He throws that out there sort of as I'm still a positive masculine guy. You shouldn't always just prioritize women. And the reason he's putting that out as a caveat is because for the last 10 minutes of this video, that's all he's been doing is pedestalizing women. All he's been doing is thinking like women. So he's got to put this in there as a caveat. Like, well, you should what I would ask Josh is this. I would say, okay, if that's the case, then why is insecurity? Why is jealousy a masculine insecurity? Why do you think that if you're your primary, if you're the one that you're your mental point of origin, then is it not in your best interests genetically and personally and everything else to keep women at arm's distance? Is it not a pragmatic, idea, or at least something to have in your head, is it not pragmatic for you as a guy who makes yourself your mission and everything your priority? Is that not the best policy to follow? He wouldn't be able to answer that because everything that's led up to where he is right now is just
Hear the perspective of a lot of these women and what they say when they left the guy because things got too boring. You know, from the woman's perspective, she's saying that like he was so engrossed, he would work all day, he would come home, and then he'd go into the garage or he'd play video games all day, and I wouldn't have any time with him. I just sit there and it's like I wasn't even in a relationship with the guy. These are things I heard from women and their perspective. But from the guy's perspective, it's like,
I worked my ass off all day. I did all of these things for you. You should appreciate me. You should want to stay with me because I worked my butt off for you.
But
I don't think that's an illogical conclusion to come to as a man. I mean, if you do anything for anybody, man, woman, child, dog, you'd be like, okay, like I want you to appreciate me. I want you to understand that like the sacrifices and suffering and financial anguish that I went through to bring us up here. But instead, you just want to, you know, complain that the TV's too loud, or I left the toilet seat up one time.
He's characterizing most men as being sort of these like unavailable, unemotional, uninvested guys, which is not the case. I've been talking about this since back in my So Suave days. Don't worry less about guys turning into jerks and assholes. Worry more about them becoming beta simps, because that's the way most guys go. If there's a spectrum between jerk and there's beta blue pill doormat, most men are leaning towards beta blue pill doormat. They're over invested. You want to know why women leave those guys? Is because those guys are not the best that they think that they can do. So if they've already sort of settled on this one guy who's like the best they could do at that particular time, yeah, that's the hypergamous equation. Can I do better? Can I do better than this guy? And if they're already you want to know why women leave most men? It's not because they're like, oh, he's unavailable, he's not banging me, he's not doing it. It's because they think they can do better, and the desire wanes as a result of that. It's not because the guy's like he's playing video games all the time, I'm out, he's smoking pot all the time. Yeah, are there guys that do that? Yeah. But they don't they think that that's a personal problem with the guy, rather than the guy like saying, this isn't really what I want to be involved in, but I'm stuck here and she's stuck there. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, she's going to start looking for a guy that is above and beyond what you are. So you're just making the case for guys like Rich.
Like, a woman doesn't monkey branch overnight. This usually happens over a course of, I would say, minimum 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
If she's embedded in that relationship, she's ingrained.
They think to themselves,
screw her. Like, they're just going to leave you. I did all these things for her.
I talk about this in my pill video about how I break it down. It's called covert narcissism. I did A, Y, B, Z, E, D, F, G, all for you. I did all these things. Now the contractual agreement is that you should stay with me and always love me because I did these external things for you. That's not how women operate, bro. Like, you can do all these external things. It's not like she's keeping a scorecard of all the things. Like,
you know, he did buy me that Gucci bag the other day, so, you know, this time, because he's being, I'm not going to choose to fight him.
Like, that's a male pattern of thinking, right? Women are based off in the moment and connection. And knowing this, you can choose to bow out and go MGTOW if you want, or just completely say, you know, screw.
If that's the case, then why bother with trying to qualify to her needs?
Yeah.
Right. I've said exactly this before. What he's talking about here is what I've called relational equity. Again, this is the same guy who'll give me grief for saying hypergamy doesn't care, yet he just said hypergamy doesn't care. So what is it, Josh? Is it hypergamy doesn't care, or is it, be in the moment, right? Is it meet her needs? It's either hypergamy doesn't care or it's meet her needs. And you know why you're confused on this and you're giving multiple, conflicting messages here? Is because you haven't done the work. You haven't done the homework. You don't have the background.
Adopt a worldview saying this is the truth behind the reality. And when you go into it and you see other people spouting the same knowledge that has gone through the same pain, you think that it is the truth behind reality. But really, all it actually is.
Hold on a second. Does that not define the reality? If you have thousands and millions of guys online relating exactly the same or like pretty close to the same theme of what they're going through, does that not define reality? Because is it your reality or is it the reality?
I just, like I said, obviously I actually have my background in psychology. I have a master's in science, in psychology from the University of Central Florida. And what he's exhibiting right now, he doesn't even realize he's exhibiting confirmation bias. Like, he is just, like, he's accusing of us as pill guys, Rollo, of like blanket statement for all relationships, yet she's cherry picking this one piece of scientific data, and he's saying like this is why all guys have come to this conclusion, like all men are like that, really. And it's like, it's kind of a lazy analysis, and that's why when I saw this, I was just so like, I told you about this. I was like, have you seen this? You're like, I gotta do a breakdown with you. I was like, because I was gonna do one, and then you said you want to come on. I was like, by all means. All right, so this is where I gotta lose it a little bit. Okay, like this video, with this MGTOW guy that comes on right now. Rollo, let's just not interrupt it. I just want the whole story to play. Right. I want to chat. If you guys can lose your mind in the chat all you want, please chat, go ham. Okay, but this story from this MGTOW guy, I almost think it's fake because it's so cringe, but I'm pretty sure it's real. Check it out.
Who has a MGTOW principal channel on YouTube, and well, he shares his story. Your story, yeah. So let's hear like the origin story, the nuts and bolts of it all.
Well, you know, like I said, I was divorced. Ended up meeting this girl on Craigslist back when Craigslist still had casual encounters. Red flag, first of all. So she and I met, ended up going out, started hooking up, and progressed very quickly. Started living together. So we moved to San Francisco. She was a stripper. And I was kind of dead set on getting her out of that life and into a better job. And so being in the Bay Area.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to be a hypocrite. Right there, she was a stripper, and I was dead set on getting her out of that. Earlier in the video, Richard Cooper in his car said, men are taught to put themselves aside and lift her up. And that's exactly what this guy did. And let's just see how that turned out for him, because Josh said that doesn't happen.
Converted into being a UX designer. We ended up moving to Oakland and just had some struggles. And we ended up moving to Denver, and then we ended up moving to Chicago. And when we were in Chicago, I was working for a company. After about 5 months, it was just not a good fit for either one of us. So they decided to let me go. So I ended up losing my job again. And she had become more distant, and I felt that there was something wrong. And I would talk to her and try to, you know, work it out. And she kept telling me that everything was fine. Everything was fine. One night, got up in the middle of the night, ended up going into where she was, and there was a message on her iPad saying, "I love you, baby, good night, and go to or sleep well," or something along those lines. Found out she was cheating on me with a married man in Colorado. She had lied to me about a whole bunch of stuff, and so we ended up breaking up. And a week later, she had moved to Colorado to become this guy's mistress, and that is the very condensed version of my origin story. So,
you want to go ahead and take a stab at that first?
Well, using this guy as your benchmark for like what is red pill and what is not is like ludicrous. Using this guy even as your benchmark for what is MGTOW and what is not is absolutely stupid, because you're talking about a guy who is pretty much just a blue pill white knight. I wanted to get her out. Like, so you, first of all, right there, that's what's called the savior schema. So it's if I get her and I save her from herself, if I get her and she looks good and she's hot and she looks like she'd be fun in bed, and she probably was fun in bed for a while, but that kind of woman is going to use you for provisioning. She's going to use you as a stepping stone to the next thing. And this guy believed that he was important to her. That right there shows sort of blue pill naivety, right? I'm going to get her out of this. We're going to have a life together. And so, yeah, what he's going to say next, and I haven't seen the end of this yet, but I think what he's going to say next is, well, you know, see, he got burned. And so therefore he's going out and he's telling all these guys that they're going to get burned too. Well, yeah, that might be true, but this guy's blue pill to begin with. He's not red pill. He's not even really MGTOW per se. He's red pill in the sense like, oh, I got burned. So now suddenly I'm aware and I've got the red pill lens on. No, the lens doesn't happen just because you got in a bad relationship. The red pill lens happens because you understand this stuff and you read this stuff and you know what's going on. You understand, you're unplugged from the matrix. That's what the red pill lens is about. It's not about nihilism. It's about practicality. It's about pragmatism.
I want to just, I think what I take away the most from this is like, yeah, again, taking my little mini digs at San Francisco. He's like, yeah, she was a, and we decided to get her into, UX, user interface,
and
right?
Or from herself. It's what's called a savior schema. I will save you from yourself and you will love me for it.
I just think it's hilarious that he wanted to go from to UX design, which is which is user experience design.
He was going to teach her that because he's going to like help her lift her up out of her like learning that is going to make her more money than she made in.
Oh my God.
Look, at the end of the day, I really don't care anymore if you're pill or MGTOW. If you want to go your own way, it really doesn't bother me. I mean, do your own damn thing, bro. Like, and as in the past, I would try to condemn or damn or like shame people for not seeing the truth behind what actually is happening, and that they're causing more and more pain. But people want to live their own lesson. They want to protect themselves. They think that they're doing what's best for them, and I completely understand. I'm not going to try to convince anyone. I just want you to know the truth, that if you've been hurt in the past by a woman, you're going to adopt a new worldview from your previous experiences to mitigate that pain in the future from ever happening. That's just simple facts. You can choose to accept it or not. You can find all the studies that you want, because there's plenty of counter studies to go against red pill, and there's plenty more studies to say that like incel knowledge is more of a thing. Like there's so many different studies. After talking with every single person in the manosphere, from incels, red pill, pick artists, MGTOW, everything, everyone has objective data to back their worldview. Just because there is studies backing it with statistics and numbers and all this stuff, it doesn't mean it's 100% true all the time. Reality is often subjective. The person you bring into the relationship gives you the results that you deserve. Your values.
What's that?
That's the lie of individuation. The lie of individuation is this: that only the experience of the individual is valid. Meaning that the experience of the aggregate, the experience of the masses, does not lead to truth. Again, it's like sort of my truth versus your truth, or versus the truth kind of thing. The lie of individuation is this: people are people, bro. Everybody has a different experience. We're all special, and nobody is the same. And there's no similarities. And what's funny to me is like to hear him say this, but yet he quotes like science, right? Neuro, that's science. He quotes the neuroscience and the neuropsychology and everything else, which would mean that's a commonality amongst all people. But yet at the same time, he appeals to individuation, meaning that not everybody's the same, man. Not all women are like that. Not all men are like that. Well, are they or aren't they? Because just 5 minutes ago, you were quoting psychological studies that show all people process negative emotions like this. So what is it? Individuation, or is it the group? The group makes the rule. Exception to the rule, or does the rule make the rule?
So if you do want help, you can set up a call with me and I can show you this more in depth.
He's going to show you more in depth. Actually, all you need to do, we found the number, Rolo. I don't know if you found it, but we found the number. I used some guys in the Hot Dude Army, and if you just give them a call, 1-800-TOP-SIMP, you can get all your help from Josh Pinnacle. Man, Josh, I'm just busting your balls, buddy, but you really did yourself a disservice with this video, man. So 1-800-TOP-SIMP, give them a call, guys.